What is going on, Crisis Actors? It is episode 1013 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett. I am here on this lovely Friday afternoon with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. Happy Friday. I don't know about all of you, but I am incredibly locked in right now. I've also been... What's up?
Locked in. I'm locked in.
Oh, I thought that was like, are you trying to like signal that something's wrong?
Well,
I was worried for a second.
I wouldn't have switched to my camera if I was looking to switch to something's wrong.
Actually, since you mention it, I feel like my angles kind of sucks right now.
It's okay.
That looks better. Yeah, I've been taking a trip down memory lane as well, watching very old episodes of Project Runway lately from like 06, 07. I know all the winners already, so there's no suspense factor, but it's been fun. They weren't, you know, it's funny, like people in the art world and like gay people, they weren't so annoying back then. And, you know, I even heard one of them say the word feminazi in the show, like in total earnest. Yeah. They also referred to like transvestites, like they were able to say words like that on TV. And then you see the credits roll and it's Harvey Weinstein as the executive producer. And I'm just like, we used to be a proper country, didn't we?
There was a sense of decorum.
Yeah. Maybe not behind closed doors, but it just was a different time in so many ways, and for the better.
I said, like, it's a beautiful day out. It's actually not a beautiful day out here. It's actually, like, very rainy out here, but it's a beautiful day out where you are, I'm sure.
It is here. I said it's ravishing outside. And it's just that perfect, like, warm breeze, like a very windy, warm, sunny day.
It's a beautiful
So I'm feeling very zen. I feel very good.
Well, let's hope that translates to a good show today with limited tech issues. I'm keeping my eye on everything right now. But guys, hit the like button on this video. Subscribe to the channel, perhaps, if you are new here and you have not subscribed to PCC yet already. Please and thank you. Remember, channel memberships are now open, and a full bonus episode with me and Verbal Riot went up earlier this week. You can check that out. I'm looking at the numbers there, so I know how many members we got versus how many people have watched it. So if you have not gotten a chance to watch it and you care about things like DC, Marvel Comics, anything like that, stuff going on with Paramount, we got into some discussion about AI and the future of Hollywood. You should go and check that out. Also, if you are a channel member, there is now an option to use all three of the furry beasts. Both Mocha, Toast, and Chloe are now all options in the emoji button. Perhaps in the chat, you can let us know what you would like to see for the next emoji that we add to the show. And we can, if we ever want to take something out, if something's not getting used a lot, we can get rid of one and replace it with another.
You know the reason why you need to get a fourth cat and name it Matcha? Well, the name is just for me, actually. It's just to appease me. But the reason you need a fourth cat is so that you can nickname them the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse.
That's a good one.
Feels particularly appropriate this week. We have a 20 from Shane H. Wilder. Happy Friday, Brett and Mary. If the White House can do the Pokemon meme, then so can we. So I did two, one Pop Culture Crisis and one Crisis Actors. I can't decide which is better, so you'll have to let me know which you prefer.
Wait,
what Pokemon meme?
Let me see if I can actually...
was it the one that they used Theo Vaughn for?
No.
This got mad at them?
No, this is new. They did this earlier. I don't have it pulled up here, but yeah.
I don't know. I'm just like sick of the White House and like different government agencies posting memes and TikTok edits.
Yeah.
Is it just me?
No,
like I'm not really charmed by that anymore.
It's me too.
I don't know if I ever was.
I got in, it's something I mentioned on IRL last night that I just find it very wearing and stuff like that.
Yeah, and you know what? Also, the memes used to write themselves. I feel like we forgot that time when like Trump's tweets were just memed, you know, for what they were. They weren't intended to be jokes, but like Kafifi was funny because it was this spontaneous thing that wasn't planned by a bunch of social media marketers.
Well, nothing works when it's planned. That's the problem. Like, I actually did the "we love this product" thing ironically. I asked Alex to do it on the PCC account because I know it's not funny coming from the PCC account. Like, maybe it could have been funny if I did it, but even then, like, it's already a joke that's old. So it's hard to say that that's funny because it's corporate approved. You know when it has to come down from a social media manager, that means he had to get approval from the higher ups, or even worse, take it down when it crosses some type of boundary.
Yeah.
Speaking of those products that I was just mentioning, you can pick one up right now on the PCC Teespring, whether you want to get a Justice for Mocha mug, which are available, the PCC Retro Edition t-shirt, which is available. We've also got the emblem logo and the monogram logo, all of which are a lot less over the top as some logos and inside jokes. So it's all there if you guys want to go check it out on the PCC Teespring. I do recommend getting one of the mugs. I know Olivia got hers in the mail today, which she was very excited about.
Which one?
She got the Justice for Mocha mug with Lady Justice Mocha.
I love that.
Yes. So we have our very own at home now. It's going to go a long way in keeping the coffee contained when you're consuming it in the morning. So what are we getting into today? We got a bunch of stuff to get into. We are going to talk about Timothée Chalamet. He is one of those people that for some reason people just find him fascinating to talk about. It's actually kind of shocking when you think about it because most celebrities these days feel like they just wear on the public discourse. But Timothée Chalamet has upset a bunch of art nerds and fans of the ballet and plays because he's basically saying like, I don't want anything to do with your medium of entertainment. It's on the way out. Nobody cares anymore. There's some hypocrisy there because I think most people would be willing to agree that movie theaters, they're not exactly on the way in. They're not on an upward trajectory like they perhaps were back in the day. So we'll get into it. It's very interesting to talk about. Also, the Oscars, they have a non-voting, and they're a bunch of unhinged weirdos who apparently in the past never even had to watch the content that they voted on, and God forbid they decided to make them watch the movies that they then have to go vote on. And it lets you know how people feel about something when they don't have to attach their name to it. So we're going to talk about it. We're also going to talk about why the women, they're just not okay. Because first of all, there's a trailer for, it's a new Pride and Prejudice, correct?
Yeah, there is a new adaptation of Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice coming out from Netflix, and this is yet another way to appeal to the female gooner audience. And we're going to talk about a new AI chatbot boyfriend in the character of Mr. Darcy, because nothing is sacred.
Okay, we got that. We got a bunch of other stuff. I have knocked on wood to make sure that the show goes well today. With all of that being said, ladies and gentlemen, are you ready to go, Mary?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go for it.
So as all of you know by now, Britney Spears was arrested on a DUI charge earlier this week. She was booked and then shortly after released on Thursday morning in the wee hours of the morning. But now, with every detail that comes out, each is more scandalizing and heartbreaking than the last, and also still unsurprising.
Yep.
The Britney Spears, Free Britney advocates have really come to grips with their massive mistake in campaigning for her freedom for years. Mm-hmm. But it does appear there are some conflicting facts about the arrest. The first thing that gave me pause was in the initial TMZ report, which detailed that she was not actually drunk when the arrest took place. She blew a .06, which means she was not beyond the legal limit for blood alcohol levels. And then I was thinking, well, how on earth did they charge her with a DUI if she wasn't even drunk? That doesn't make much sense. Well, she did something even worse than driving drunk, which is that she refused to pull over
hour-long highway chase.
Her.
Yep.
Yeah, this turned into an hour-long chase on the highway when she's allegedly totally sober. She was driving erratically in a harrowing chase before being pulled over and arrested for a DUI. The pop superstar was taken into custody by the California Highway Patrol at 9:30 p.m. after weaving in and out of lanes. According to Ventura County Sheriff records, Spears has since been released and is scheduled to appear in court on May 4th. In the 911 call, dispatchers and officers described the chaotic pursuit in real time. One can be heard saying, "A black sedan, erratic braking, swerving, and driving with no taillight. Can we send all units down toward this area, please?" And officers identified the car as a 2026 black BMW convertible, and the call captures them tracking her before finally pulling her over. But the pursuit began around 8:13 p.m.
Yep.
And finally, by 9:13 p.m., the dispatch confirms that she had gotten out of her vehicle.
This perfectly, one of the things I mentioned yesterday, and if I didn't mention it, I thought it in my head, maybe I forgot to mention it, was that her lawyer seemed unbelievably apologetic for a mere DUI. Where they were like, she's going to get help, you know, maybe this is rock bottom, she apologizes, she's going to take what's coming to her. It felt really weird to me that a simple DUI would evoke such a response from somebody who's likely going to get off of the crime anyways, because she's a woman of means and celebrity, and she'll get community service and move on. But when you go on a high-speed chase with cops, you endanger a ton of other lives. You endanger officers' lives. So they were already looking to mitigate the damage, at the very least, in the PR campaign before things even moved forward.
Yeah, I imagine she was either aware that she was being chased and behaving recklessly, or she was so out of her mind that she didn't even realize that she was being pursued by the cops.
Did you?
But I'm just imagining like a fleet of cop cars behind her going like 50 miles per hour.
It's not a high-speed chase. It's like a mid-speed chase. The other thing that I thought was really interesting about this, and perhaps because I don't have any, I mean, I've been pulled over before, but it's been a very long time since that happened. I had never heard of a drug recognition expert, which they could have hired me for. I could do that job for them. I could have done that job for many years.
California job.
One officer requested a DRE, and this is not a Dr. Dre, by the way. It's a drug recognition expert specially trained by the California Highway Patrol to assess when a driver is impaired. In the recording, another officer is heard trying to get the DRE to the scene as quickly as possible. The Daily Mail had reached out for her, to her representatives for comments. Obviously, I'm sure they're like, yeah, we're not going to give you any comments right now. We're going to craft our public response.
Well, okay, what's worse than like the DUI charge in and of itself is that after she was pulled over, they discovered pills in her car, and they were identified as Adderall pills, but they were sourced allegedly from Mexico, which means that they might be laced with narcotics.
Yeah.
And this could mean significant jail time for her if she's
happen.
convicted.
I don't think it's, I don't know, unless she was, unless she had like a gigantic, like a bag. I don't even see that happening for her. It's gonna be, she'll get off with probation on this. I have no doubt. Like
you didn't know what a DRE is. I didn't know what a sober coach was until today. And I had no idea there were people actually employed by the troubled rich, celebrities to keep them accountable in their sobriety. She allegedly fired her sober coaches weeks before her arrest, which means that she was probably going off the deep end for quite a while before she was pulled over. We can't even scroll through that article because it just includes like so many risque stills of her nip slips from Instagram. And on top of all that, she was struggling with this crazed stalker who ended up trespassing at her home.
A guy who'd been stalking her online since like 2013. And then finally, and from out of state, from what I understand, which is even creepier. If they are willing to travel to do it, it's like twice as scary. Yeah,
he was like probably planning something criminal. So she was granted a permanent restraining order against this stalker, which is really hard to obtain. I guess the only positive note here is that she is back in contact with one of her sons and her mom, which is unexpected because she has spoken ill of all of her family members in the past in public testimonies and on social media.
She has been back in contact with both of her sons for a while now, but one to a greater extent. I think it was Jaden is the one she's more in contact with than the other son.
Probably the older son.
In working towards that. And that's going to be another thing that's going to be key for her if she's trying to avoid jail time, depending on how seriously, I didn't see anywhere a list of charges other than the DUI, because they very could have easily gotten gotten her for reckless endangerment and, you know, everything that a highway chase entails, is going to be, first of all, she's going to have to look like she's putting in the work to get clean. She's going to have to rehire those sober coaches. She's going to have to either go to rehab or make an effort to look like she's changing, especially with if those pills come back as something even worse than prescribed Adderall. But that's even if it was regular Adderall and she doesn't have a prescription for it, which is what they mentioned in that article, was like she would go down to Mexico. And I just can't imagine her driving over the border Sicario style to go obtain, like, somewhere in my headcanon, I imagine she had somebody for that she sent down to Mexico to go pick up drugs for her.
Well, I believe they detailed that she was on a trip to Mexico.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I just found it kind of crazy that she would go do it herself and not pay somebody to go do that.
Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, Jamie Marshall, who writes as a contributor for Evie Magazine, has said the final word on the Free Britney movement. And I don't think any more needs to be said, but you should go pursue that article that she wrote in full. It concludes by saying that that history will prove the Free Britney movement was born out of good intentions, but grossly oversimplified. A complicated, messy tragedy involving complex legal and mental health issues that are not easily solvable. Her behavior is incredibly typical of episodic mood disorders, erratic, incoherent, accusatory, unstable, but Free Britney fans will take any claims made under this state at Britney's word rather than the unreliable symptoms of mental illness. It's not always a cut and dry case of the evil Machiavellian exploiters versus the perfect innocent victim. The truth is often somewhere in between. That is the saddest part, because it leaves Britney with an ending that's not a happily ever after, nor closure, but an uphill battle, relapses, confusion, and heartache. I fear that that should there come a day where Britney does need more medical intervention, the court of public opinion will have ensured that it's denied to her. And to echo that sentiment, one prominent Free Britney enthusiast, I would call them an activist, actually spoke to Harvey Levin at TMZ and basically issued a mea culpa for her part in advocating against Britney Spears' conservatorship. Can we skip to like 30 seconds in here? That's basically when she starts talking about her regrets.
Here we go.
I was very supportive of the Free Britney movement. I thought that she deserved her autonomy and her freedom just like everyone else. And then when it ended, we started to see things that sort of made me think, okay, maybe this isn't as black and white as I thought it was. And there's a reason why the conservatorship was put in place, just based on her life that she was posting on social media, you know, dancing with the knives and all kinds of things like that. It really just made me pause and think, like, okay, something is not right here.
Was that the first thing?
Kat, you want to go through all of it, or just
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
But you know, it's too little too late. You know, the damage is done, and they ask her at the end, don't you feel any responsibility for the current state that she's been left in, where she is totally isolated and spiraling all alone without supervision? And not only is she struggling with telltale symptoms of, you know, manic episodes and bipolar disorder, she's also there with millions of dollars at her disposal and employees and people ready to encourage her even further in her own self-destructive habits.
Well, yeah,
They should feel responsible for that.
At the very least, yesterday I said I can't imagine why a manager or an agent wouldn't want them to get healthy, for the sheer fact that if your client lives longer, you will make more money. Speaking from a purely cynical, perspective, that a healthy client will make more money and live longer than one in a spiral of self-destruction.
Yeah, people who think that they're like, you know, heroes on behalf of celebrities, whether it's Britney Spears or Justin Bieber or any number of them, they really like just give me weird vibes. Like, can you mind your own business? You're never gonna know what's really going on in that person's life, in that person's mind.
Yeah.
And you take up their cause so arrogantly. thinking that you know better than her own family members and the people that are actually in her inner circle, as if you have that, you know, her best interest at heart.
But like there was still, like, off the top of my head, like her dad and her sister did have problems, right? That at the very least made people suspicious of everything that was going on.
Right.
Now, my perspective on this from the start was that I think that the threshold to put somebody into a conservatorship should be unbelievably high, because I don't like the idea of somebody having their rights taken away. And I still see people online who are like, by the way, just because somebody, and they love this term, which I've come to realize, they love the term messy. They're like, she's messy and I love it. Which just means
that really trivializes the whole thing.
That she's messy and I love it. That's what they say. That you know, she's self-destructive, and I guess to me, what I see now, obviously, she's spiraled in a lot of ways, and she's protected in some fashion by her level of wealth and in the amount of resources that she has available to her. Whereas if she was somebody of much less means, she would either be on the street or in an even worse position than she is now. But I don't think that it's wrong to hold on to a high standard or a high threshold before you take someone's individual rights away. Even if in this case, I would agree that she seems to be a danger to herself. Like, I'm not going to argue against the person juggling knives not being, you know, who isn't working for the circus. If you're working for the circus, we can have that discussion.
Yeah.
But you get my point.
Maybe actually that's her redemption arc. She joins the circus.
That would be perfect.
That would be the perfect redemption arc for Britney. But I don't think that driving is a right. You know, I don't actually think, you know,
well, you
traveling
it's not
to
a right.
other countries is a right.
Driving is not a right.
I think there are
Driving
plenty of things that ought to be taken away from her that are not rights. They're privileges.
Yeah, driving is a privilege.
Yeah, and she should not, like, if people are saying that's a right, like, that's a totally different conversation.
In the chat,
I think she needs less freedom.
In the chat, Receptive Skeptic says Brit has been sexualized and watched ever since she was a little kid. I saw another post the other day that said she rode Justin Timberlake's coattails to fame.
Huh?
Yeah, I saw that post. I'm not kidding you.
That's delusional.
It's like the one I sent.
Crazy.
I sent Mary a post earlier that said, "Travis Kelce's fiance makes a big announcement." It's like calling Taylor Swift Travis Kelce's fiance is diabolical.
Claiming that Britney Spears was only famous because she dated Justin Timberlake. We're losing the ancient texts.
We are.
This is crazy.
Pat the Plumber has gifted 5 PCC memberships. Thank you so much, Pat, if that is in fact your real name. All right.
Thank you very much.
Let's move on. That was depressing to start, but we've got more to get into.
It wasn't nearly as depressing as we could get. Certainly.
Okay, let's go.
Demi Lovato recently made an appearance on Keke Palmer's podcast. Bear with me. The name of the podcast is Baby, This is Keke Palmer. And they engaged in a discussion about what it was like to grow up in the spotlight as child actors and come of age around a bunch of adults in their industry, which led them to believe that they were a lot more grown up than they actually were. And this led them into situations where they ended up dating at an age they feel was inappropriately young, dating men with, significant age gaps. That goes for both of them. I don't know Keke Palmer's situation, but she referred to dating a 20-year-old when she was 15 in this interview. I don't know who that is or what the details were there. But Demi Lovato's age gap relationship is one that took place in the public eye. She started dating Wilmer Valderrama when she was 18, and they ended up breaking up 10 years ago now. But she still just can't get him off of her mind. Even though she's married and has her own life, she is still just thinking about this relationship. She wrote a song about it. I guess that wasn't enough to gain closure. She still just doesn't feel like she has dragged this man hard enough.
It's like Hillary Duff with her recent album, writing a song about it.
Hilary Duff's alleged song about Leonardo DiCaprio. These women just cannot move on. So here they get into more detail about that relationship. And forgive me for paraphrasing this clumsily, but Kiki said, I feel like people don't understand that that's what we was dealing with, you know. I found myself dating. I'm 15. Why is my boyfriend 20? Let's actually play the clip of this exchange. It would be easier for us to listen to in their own words.
Here we go.
Now, I found myself dating. I'm 15. Why is my boyfriend 20?
Why was my boyfriend 30?
Girl!
You know what I'm saying?
Damn. Like, I'm not smiling at that, but that is real. We was trying to find outlets, though. I don't think, you know, and also just a way to process this, and nobody our age, I mean,
could understand. Nobody our age could understand. But then you look back in hindsight, when I turned 30, I was like, that's not okay.
Girl, the moment when you realize and you get the age of a lot of people that were around you and doing stuff, it's almost a mental break that can happen because you realize, you were taking advantage of. Oh, I was being exploited.
Yeah.
Oh, was very difficult for me when because at 15, I'm thinking like my boyfriend's older because I'm doing an older job and I'm doing a bunch of things and this is the way that it is, and it seemed normal in my mind. But then
especially if you're an older soul too. Especially if you're mature for your age.
I love the Hilary Duff song.
Oh my God, me too.
Yeah, because it's like, we all had the same damn life. Then.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Where people kept telling us you're so mature for your age.
I also wrote a song about that. It's called 29. And when you listen to it.
Okay.
Yeah, nobody knows your song, actually, Demi. That's
I think we talked
totally
about it.
irrelevant.
I think we talked about it on the channel when this happened.
We did. We did talk about that song, but nobody knows that song.
I would love for somebody to ask them if this also means that children who want to transition should have to wait until they are of a specific age before they can do such a thing, or are they simply mature enough underage to make such a important life decision?
Oh, well, if you ask Trump, they just need their parents' permission.
Yeah.
It's like logging on to DisneyChannel.com.
Well, yeah.
Anyway, this song that Demi released a few years back, we did cover it on the channel. It's called 29, and I'm so sorry, but I'm going to read some of the lyrics to you, and they're horrible. So she references being too young to drink wine in the song. I don't want to say this part out loud, but I have to. Just 5 years of bleeders. Student and a teacher, far from innocent. What the F is consent? Numbers told you not to, but that didn't stop you. And all of that implies that Wilmer Valderrama was illegally hooking up with her, although they did start dating when she was 18, not 17. And
it says they started dating in 2010. So how old was she?
18.
She was 18 in 2010.
So, 18,
but did they know each other? Did they know each other before that?
Yes, they did meet when she was 17, I believe. But they had not started dating. I know things get murky, whatever. I think that the biggest takeaway there isn't necessarily that Wilmer Valderrama is some kind of like maniacal villain. The takeaway really is that you didn't have other people that you could trust in your life that would give you advice against such a decision.
Well, yeah, they're
against embarking on that relationship.
Both of them, I guess the thing that they share in common as, you know, child actors is that they are surrounded by people who are supposed to, at least in the theoretical, be looking out for their best interests. Now, they might not be able to lock you in a bedroom and say you can't do this, but they definitely should be there telling you that's not acceptable.
Mm-hmm. And also, I should note that in her documentary that she released in 2017, she said nothing negative about Wilmer whatsoever. Mm-hmm. She even recounted the story of how they got together in a way that, preserved his reputation. She said that when she laid eyes on him for the first time, she was like, I love this man. I have to have him. But I was only 17. So he said, get away from me. And they only began dating after she turned 18. That's how she put it in the documentary at the time. But then later on, she retroactively rewrites the story so that it's more salacious for people to consume a decade after they've already split up.
Mm-hmm.
And this reminded me of Jeanette McCurdy's retelling of her first relationship with a man that she met on the set of iCarly when she was 18. And in her interview with Alex Cooper on Call Her Daddy, she decidedly leaves it, you know, ambiguous whether or not she was 18 at the time that she met this man, Paul Glaser. But she was. And, you know, she said, like, oh, I don't know if I was 17 or 18, but like, whatever. Like, no, it's not whatever. Like, it's actually a big deal. And like, you're talking about this person who doesn't have the ability to respond. And he's going to face professional and personal consequences for whatever you say to millions of people right now, years after you have spoken to this person. And this gimmick account, Women Being Awful, said, just a woman refusing to take accountability. Jeanette McCurdy has consistently stated in her memoir and recent interviews that she was 18 years old when her real life relationship with Paul Glaser began. You were naive, but not a victim. And, it actually gives her too much credit to say that she was consistent about stating that she was 18, because she was not. In the Call Her Daddy interview, she was like, oh, I might have been 17, I might have been 18. And then she inspired her novel off of this real life relationship and named it half his age. And the novel is about a minor. So you fictionalized this real life story. It's basically auto fiction about you as a minor, even though in the real story you weren't a minor. And, you know, I can't really like rehash this enough. Like, the fact that we have age of consent laws is not arbitrary. Like, we can argue all day about which age it should be. And maybe, you know, relatively to the culture or your upbringing, like that part is arbitrary. But the fact that we have age of consent laws is not arbitrary.
But that's not the point, though. They don't even care. The age of consent doesn't even matter in the sense of being arbitrary, because they're talking about power dynamics.
Yes,
which is
and that's why now we have
entirely.
Henry Cavill getting called a PDF file for dating a 19-year-old. Like, can we just grow up, like,
no,
together?
They can't. The ladies don't want to. They want simultaneously to be both liberated and children until the age of whatever it is, you know, their arbitrary ages. I guess 21.
Well, look, none of these women had parents or older mentors or friends who gave a shit about them. Like, if they had anyone in their life they could trust and ask for advice, then they would have been given the advice not to get into these relationships in the first place, because they were being used. Like, they were being used for sex and fame, of course, too. And, you know, maybe they didn't have the worldly knowledge to understand that at the time. It's understandable, I guess, to reach that conclusion later on and feel taken advantage of. But none of this would have happened if they had advice from anyone who cared about them.
Yeah, it's but we can't expect that to be what the truth is for them in that industry. Everybody else, in a very, very immense way, is out for themselves. Even the ones who are theoretically supposed to look out for them. Their well-being is only as important to them as their ability to exploit it or to get them to the next stage of their career. And and also they're negating to mention a lot of ways that the way these things were looked at socially 20 years ago was very different than the way that they're looking at it now.
True.
And the world is a different place now.
True. And most of all, I think what I'm tired of is, you know, that people like actually agree with me, but they say they don't. Because they do think that women are vulnerable, and like they do think that men should protect women, and that like women are deserving and in need of a special level of protection and oversight compared to men. And when pressed on any one of those points, they would deny it, of course, because it's unflattering.
Well,
and it doesn't step in line with their other, you know, socially liberal views. But at the end of the day, all of these people believe that men and women are different, and that women are vulnerable and in need of protection, especially when they're young and have everything going for them.
There is a specific type of guy who would agree with you 110%, but would say that the current structure of society just doesn't implement that because of equality and the way things are now. So if the social contract has all but disappeared, and it's not, men aren't looked on as protectors anymore, and women are lauded for their independence and their ability to build themselves up on their own, then they say, you know, you would have to truly hold that as one of your most consistent values and preach it all the time. Otherwise, you're going to say, not my clown, not my circus. I don't care. It's not my business. They got into this industry. They're rewriting their own history. Why should I care?
Not my clown. Thought it was not my monkey.
Both.
Not my monkey, not my zoo. Whatever. I don't know. I just like, I'm kind of bored with the whole discourse when it comes to age gaps and the power dynamics and the consent and the da-da-da-da-da. Like, it would all be so much less complicated if we could just acknowledge some very basic fundamental truths about male and female nature that were universally accepted not that long ago, probably by like our grandparents.
Okay, let's move on. Cringe or cute of the day?
Let's see the cringe first.
Okay, here we go. It says, what generation has the worst style? Well, you know, whoever this dude on the right has the worst style.
We already know what he's about to say.
Generation has the worst style.
Millennials, they try to dress young and it's just like corny, bro. Like, you're old and you try to dress like me, you know, like, it's very like, nah, it's very corny to me.
What generation has the worst style?
Millennials.
Why?
Because they're just trying to be us.
Look around.
Yeah,
Look around.
What generation has the worst style?
Definitely millennials. Definitely.
Yeah,
millennials.
they always be wearing those shirts with like that have like some sort of cringe ass caption.
It's like a black shirt and there's like a white block with like a word like humble.
What generation?
I mean, there's something to be said that millennials don't want to grow up in their fashion sense, and they want to hold on to their youthful demeanor at all costs.
Yeah, but are they? I feel like millennials are just trying to dress the way that they dressed when they were young. They're not trying to dress like Gen Z.
I guess it depends. We'd have to start doing a survey, like high, you know, like white sneakers and white socks and like some high black shorts
my gosh.
or whatever.
There is, I can't really ascertain like what is the Nashville like woman's uniform. Okay. But in Nashville, like every Nashville guy looks the same.
What do they look like?
And first of all, he's wearing AirPods. Always. He's probably on a call. He's like on a business call. He's on his AirPods.
That already proves that they're not important, because if they were important, they'd have wired headphones.
He has his AirPods in. He's also always going to be wearing a baseball cap. Either forwards or backwards, but I think usually forwards. And he's wearing like a loose fitting t-shirt. He's also wearing like probably shorts that are too short, or tapered joggers that are tapered at the ankle. And he's wearing the same like squeaky clean white sneakers with white what are the socks that are like longer, like the crew socks? Crew socks? Yeah, he's wearing the white crew socks with the white sneakers.
Low top.
And to top it all off, he is always walking with you know, his dog on the leash. It's always like, it's just, that's his final accessory is his dog that's with him.
Does he have like the fanny pack you wear around the shoulder?
Ooh, that would be a bonus. Yeah, to really fit every stereotype, for sure.
Don't worry, guys. I make sure to wear the same thing every day. You know it's me because my shirt is it's pulled so wide that you could fit two heads inside.
I said Brett should start his own fashion line where he just sells like overly long shirts with large neck holes.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna start to do it. What I'll do is I'll find conjoined twins to try on every shirt.
Perfect.
And stretch them out.
Yeah, that would be great.
All right, let's do cute of the day. We've got a couple here. First one, we have a unique one from Aman. It says, "This is Tom. I know snakes are controversial, but I think this baby is worth a cute of the day."
I don't think. Well, I guess snakes are controversial, but I think snakes are cute.
There you go. I knew you'd approve of this one for sure. And then since we'll stick with the unique for the day, we've got this one from Heather. "This is Bird. She's an American saddlebred that my daughter has ridden and trained with for several years. I was scared of horses, but she won me over. She's a very sweet girl, and my daughter has won several ribbons with her."
Very cute. I can't remember if we've had a horse on Cute of the Day before. This might be the first.
I believe we've had a horse on.
I don't know.
Me and Olivia call these fence friends because they're always by
Love it.
fences. As you know.
Horses scare me as well, but they are good natured.
All right, let's move on. We've got a ton of stuff to get into today.
Yes, it's Oscar season, and Timothee Chalamet's chances at winning his first Oscar are in jeopardy because of recent comments that he made at a town hall alongside Matthew McConaughey. According to this blind item yesterday, with Oscar ballots due, the meme actor didn't do himself any favors by trashing a bunch of different forms of art. And this leaves little to the imagination. Let's play the clip. I'll just provide some context first. He was discussing with Matthew McConaughey the changing media landscape and the new generation that is coming up that has such a short attention span. Are they able to keep theaters afloat in this new age where you have to put every action set piece in the first act instead of the second or third? When we have Tide Pod cinema and people just can't sit down for a 2-hour long movie anymore, at least not without scrolling in the middle. So that's what they were talking about. They were talking about whether movie theaters are going to die out as a form of entertainment because the new generation has such a short attention span. And he then just proceeded to randomly throw major shade at theatrical performances like ballet and opera. So here's what he said.
And I don't want to be working in ballet or opera or, things where it's like, hey, keep this thing alive, even though no one cares about this anymore. All respect to the ballet and opera people out there. I just lost 14 cents in viewership, but damn, I just took shots for no reason.
That's not a shot. I hear what you're saying. Yeah.
That's not a shot. I hear what you're saying. All right.
I just lost 14 cents in viewership is crazy that he had to throw that in, that extra jab after dissing them already.
He's like, get it? Because there's like none of you.
Damn. So people were deeply offended by this comment. Here are some of the responses. One said, 14 cents in viewership was hella disrespectful. Now it makes sense why Timothy fits in with the Kardashians. Another one said, R.I.P. Timothee Chalamet, an actor who appreciated and loved all the arts. We lost you, and you don't even know. Another one said he better not win that damn Oscar. And he also received some responses from people who are in ballet and opera.
I bet.
Amar Smalls, a professional ballet dancer and owner of a dance studio, explained that people do still care about ballet and opera. It's just that it's become inaccessible due to expensive ticket prices.
See, that's what I said to you. I said, it seems to me like it prices people out, but then you said not necessarily. Like there are people that can still go that aren't necessarily of means.
Yeah, there are definitely ways around that, but you could say literally the same exact thing about seeing movies in theaters. It's prohibitively expensive, especially for families. So they're facing the exact same problem.
There's a tweet that says only way out of this debacle is Timothee Chalamet remaking Black Swan.
I mean, yeah. He could redeem himself. It's pretty ironic that he said this because actually his mother is a former professional ballet dancer. Maybe that's why he felt at liberty to say something like this.
There's actually something really fascinating about this, because one thing that is completely unacceptable in Hollywood is to be critical of other people's art. Like, you are looked down upon because you're supposed to be in the trenches with them. You know, you're above the plebs. You're above the people who watch the art. You're supposed to hold arm in arm with the people who make the pretentious art and, you know, hold them up on a pedestal. Very rarely do you see them do something like this, especially cross genres.
Right. That's definitely a faux pas. That's a no-no in the arts in general. But, you know, it's funny, there's this stigma around theatrical performances like opera, like ballets, like musicals, whatever it may be, that the audience for that is pretentious. And I think that's inaccurate. I actually think the most pretentious people are the ones in Hollywood. And not only are they pretentious, but they have the biggest platforms to broadcast their pretentious opinions. And they have the biggest budget to blow money on their pretentious vanity projects. So they're more guilty of that than I think people in the theater arts are stereotyped for being pretentious. I think there's actually much more pretension in Hollywood than, you know, on Broadway.
No. I think they're just as pretentious on Broadway. It's just nobody cares enough to... Patty LuPone?
Well, at the very least...
When Patty LuPone speaks, it just reeks of pretentiousness.
But at the very least, people who are in theatrical arts are not wasting hundreds of millions of dollars on their projects.
Yes.
And they don't have gigantic megaphones to scream at people for not supporting their projects. Like, they have their niche audience, they have their space, and they don't make it everyone else's problem if they're not interested.
Well, because I think it's actually even worse, which is like, or no, actually, no, that would make the movies worse, because at least, correct, they shout just as loud as anyone else, but they shout it to their niche audience of people who are going to go support them either way. The movie actors are the ones who shout against the people that they then want to come to their movies after being yelled at. Like, they're not yelling. They're not yelling at you on Broadway. Like, when they yell at you about Donald Trump, when Patty LuPone yells at you about Donald Trump, it's not with the understanding that, you know, she was expecting me to go to something on Broadway.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying that I do actually think that Hollywood is more pretentious. They're more guilty of that stereotype than people in the theater. So I also think it's rich that Timothée Chalamet would say this about ballet and opera when he's the one in the industry that's way more imminently replaceable by AI compared to theater performances.
I think Timothée Chalamet is actually removing himself from that. He seems to be the only actor that I can think of lately. We had a discussion the other day. Sean Chandler was talking about how directors are now more marketable than actors. People all show up for a Sam Raimi movie. They'll show up for a Christopher Nolan movie. But Timothée Chalamet, at the very least, is one of these few actors of the new generation. There's probably maybe one or two others that I can't think of off the top of my head, where his name on the marquee, maybe it doesn't draw the tickets that a Tom Cruise would have drawn back in the day. But I think, like, his project choice is that it's supposed to speak to people, and maybe that's what's supposed to be important about it. Glenn Powell is proving that his name isn't doing that. How to Make a Killing didn't really do anything. Sydney Sweeney's proving that it works within a specific genre. I think Timothée Chalamet's proving that the projects you choose end up mattering as much as anything else, because when his name is attached to it, the people that like his type of work are going to come out. So maybe it's true, maybe it's not, but for him, I don't think he's as replaceable as with AI as some of the others.
I'm not really saying that about the talent. I'm actually just saying that about movies in general.
Actors. I was watching some stuff on Tubi recently, and like every commercial was AI actors. It's creepy. Like, I'm not there yet. They haven't like shown me enough of it yet to assimilate me to the uncanny valley. It's like halfway there to almost being believable, but it's still very noticeable and creepy.
I'm just saying, if anyone should be worried about their art form getting replaced or dying out, it should probably be people in Hollywood, filmmakers, actors in Hollywood films, not people in the theatrical arts, because if anything, AI becoming more and more prevalent in filmmaking is going to drive people to support art forms that they can only enjoy in person and things that intentionally slow them down. If people are struggling with having short attention spans, I mean, I think that we can tell already they're like trying to lengthen their attention spans with brute force, whether it's by, you know, getting an analog bag or going to an opera for the first time, which is what I ended up doing.
How did you, how was it? Did you like it?
I did like it. And I actually like wasn't even pretending to find it entertaining. Like I actually had a good time.
You were like half expecting to have to fake it, but then actually enjoyed it?
No, yeah.
Awesome.
I was like thinking maybe I'll have to force myself to like this, but I didn't have to do that.
That's so cultured of you.
It's just funny. It's kind of in a dark way funny that Timothee was grandstanding in that way over people in ballet or operas, when in reality, like his art form is more under threat than theirs.
Aside from that, though,
the upcoming age of AI,
I will tell you the benefit of this type of argument, though, which is that it makes him seem a little bit more authentic than the rest of the people in the space who would have to pay lip service to whatever they're talking about and pretend to love whatever it is. Who was the one the other day that asked, like, they were talking to Pink and they listed a Kelly Clarkson song or something like that. Like, that's the rule. The price you pay in Hollywood is to have to pretend to be friends and like everyone. And ironically enough, as much as it annoys the people who might do ballet, which I do laugh at because the rigor of ballet is so intense that they almost have nothing to prove. From everything that I've ever learned about people who do ballet is that it requires an unbelievably rigorous and committed person to master. But for him, it makes him more likable to the regular folk if he's willing to just talk some shit, for lack of a better term.
I guess, yeah. They do like his like bro affect.
Yeah, I want an act, and then the best thing he can do now is to not come out and apologize and be like, oh, you know, I was caught up in the moment, and you know what, somebody sent me a link to a ballet, and I've really come around to it. Don't do that. If you think ballet is stupid, then don't pretend that you like it.
But the redeeming quality of things like ballet and opera is that it's something someone can't send you a link to. You see what I mean?
See performances of it, absolutely.
You can, look it up on YouTube. It's okay, but it's like that is kind of defeating the purpose. It's like watching Oppenheimer on your phone screen. Like,
then she can't say that. Then he can't say, I finally went to a ballet because my manager sent me tickets, and you know what? I've changed my mind. He has to go and be like, I went to the ballet. I still don't get it. You know, whatever.
Well, I think he gets it. Since his mom is a ballet dancer.
Yes,
I'm sure he's attended ballet. But
maybe that's the part. Maybe he's just bitter because his mom was never around because it was so difficult to become a. Was she like a top level ballerina, or just like
she was a professional? Yeah,
okay.
I don't know when she retired.
Then
but
she was never around, and he is still bitter.
Maybe he just has mommy issues that he's expressing. But this ballet dancer went on to say, it's the equivalent of taking your girl on a date to Nobu or McDonald's in his comparison to movie ticket prices. Now, that distinction in the prices is blurring by the day as movie ticket prices continue inflating. And, you know, there are ways to get around the high prices for tickets of theatrical performances. He said, I think that in the next couple of years, the perception of people not caring about ballet or opera will change. I do agree with that. Maybe this is my hope core white pill take. Maybe I'm coping, I'm delusional, but I do think that as, algorithms take over and AI becomes more and more prevalent in movies and television, people are going to place a premium on higher investment forms of entertainment, whether it's investment of time or investment of education or the actual price you're paying for it. There was also an opera singer that responded to Chalamet's comment saying, "I'm shocked that someone so seemingly successful can be so ineloquent and narrow-minded in his views about art while considering himself an artist, as I would only imagine one would as an actor. To take cheap shots at fellow artists says more in this interview than anything else he could say. It shows a lot about his character. You don't have to like all art, but only a weak person or artist feels the need to diminish, in fact, the very arts that would inspire those who are interested in slowing down to do exactly that."
He barely
And that's true that it's not a zero-sum game, and if there is a renewed interest in theatrical performances, people will be more willing to sit down for a couple of hours for a movie. At the very least.
Average ticket on Broadway runs between $130 to $155, while tickets can range from $20 to over $1,000 for premium seats. So maybe what he's saying is that the people who can afford to go to Broadway can have screener copies sent to their private residences to watch it anytime. And maybe I speak more to the person who doesn't find it cost effective to spend $130 on the ticket alone, even if it's going to cost that much by the time you're done with your popcorn, and it'll be that run for you and your date as opposed to just you.
I think what offended people most about this comment is not really even about the content of what he said, but the way that it sullies like who they thought Timothée Chalamet was, or like what he represented to them.
Yeah.
Like they really were attached to this idea that he was the artsy fartsy Gen Z actor who was like, carrying the torch of the past generations. And this reply to his discussion with Matthew McConaughey really says it all. So he was talking about Kylie Jenner surprising him with an IMAX screening of Interstellar for his birthday. And this reply said, "The way Interstellar is being reframed as a crucial part of Timmy's filmography is part of his branding, moving to trying to appease film bros and men and separating himself from the artsy, sensitive, queer, and feminine roles he actually became famous for."
Maybe it's because he wants to make
a lot
money.
of these artsy, sensitive, queer, and feminine people felt that they had, laid some sort of claim over Timothée Chalamet. But anyway, now freeing himself of those shackles and revealing himself as the bro that he truly is, a film bro.
He loves college football.
Yeah, he's a bro through and through.
That's him. All right. Hopefully it doesn't reset. It's been resetting weird lately. So the hope is that we don't get one of those weird where it recycles through. Yes. Sweet. All right.
Fine?
We're good. Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
All right. Shall we move on?
Yeah, let's go.
Go for it.
So the Oscars are coming up in 2026. And as I've mentioned before, this is an anomalous year because it's the first time that Oscar voters are actually required to watch the movies they're voting on, which is insane that it took this long. But yeah, now in the portal where they cast their ballots, you're not allowed to vote unless you've actually clicked on the screener link for the movies that are contenders. And I just saw this tweet today. Oscar voting is closed, meaning it is time for the best part of the season, anonymous Oscar voter testimonials given by the most unhinged people alive. And it's true that although there are just over 11,000 people in the Academy who can vote, they are some of the most mentally ill, deranged people alive. And the anonymous commentary that they offered in this piece in Variety only further proves that. They published this calling it Oscar Voting Closes, the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly of Anonymous Ballots in the Best Picture race between One Battle After Another and Sinners. And although there are other contenders for Best Picture, those are the front runners. The voting period is closed, and anyone telling you the race is over is lying. The mystique of the Oscars depends on sealed envelopes and silent voters, yet every season the ballots speak. Anonymous Oscar ballots have become both a staple and ritual of the award season. At their best, they offer candid, unfiltered insight from the people voting on the industry's top honors. It's the good, the bad, and the ugly, laid bare across 24 categories and centered on one irresistible question: what are voters actually thinking? As Variety previously reported, this year's digital Oscar ballot is synced to the Academy screening room, where members can watch nominees. Under a new rule, members must watch all nominees in a category before they can vote on it. Until then, those races remain grayed out on the ballot, and the change delayed voting for some members. In past years, some voters would simply rush through the ballot. While the new format still operates largely on the honor system, the setup nudges members to watch more contenders or abstain from categories they've not completed. It's just, again, wild to me that it took this long to implement that requirement. But even now that they've changed the standard, you can still tell that people vote in the Academy based on their own biases and, you know, who they think is the most likable or what social agendas they think a movie is fulfilling.
If I was in the Oscars camp, I would just do a write-in ballot for Jason Statham on everything.
Where is he though?
I mean,
what was he in?
He's nothing. He was in Shelter this year. I would have put him in. I mean, Shelter would have been.
I don't think they let you do write-ins.
I'm gonna write in Jason Statham for everything.
So they say Ryan Coogler's Sinners and Paul Thomas Anderson's political thriller One Battle After Another are the top two choices for Best Picture. And what they're not really willing to say out loud in this piece is that it's like an Oscars race war, essentially. Like, basically the people who think that the Black Guys movie should win are voting for it for that reason. And then, you know, they're maybe reluctantly voting for One Battle After Another because they actually think that's the better choice. Many people said that they think One Battle After Another is going to win, but they voted for Sinners because they see it as the underdog choice. And then this was an especially crazy comment that they got from an anonymous voter. Are we allowed to finally talk about why One Battle After Another is a bad movie? Or are we still just pretending it's not the most problematic movie for the Black community since maybe Green Book? Now, I have no idea why they think One Battle After Another is racist or problematic for the Black community, other than that, I guess it was the one that was directed by a white guy.
Yeah.
But they're referencing a different movie it takes place in the 1960s segregated Deep South.
People, I know a lot of people that actually really liked Green Book.
I don't know much about it. Have you ever watched it?
I never watched it, but it was, I heard that was like the last time people said when they did race propaganda done right.
Yeah, I also don't know how Green Book is a problematic movie for the Black community either, but they really didn't explain further than that. And then they go into the Best Actor showdown, and it's basically between Michael B. Jordan and Leonardo DiCaprio.
It's so weird. Like, Sinners is for the first time, at the very least for the first time, a movie that was financially successful and is up for these awards. And it's like there was a Babylon Bee meme like from a couple years ago. It's like movie nobody's heard of wins award from people that you've never seen.
I still think that Sinners is basically an exercise in ethno-narcissism. It is incredibly anti-white.
Tyrone the big
based on everything I've learned about it.
Tyrone the big black cat in the chat says, says Green Book was about white and black people being good together. Yeah, they'd probably hate that now.
Oh, I guess that does make it problematic.
People getting along and doing good things together. We can't have that.
It's centered around this, like, he's a touring performer and his bodyguard is a white guy.
Yeah.
And they're in the segregated South. I guess make of that storyline what you will. But again, the Best Actor category is another veiled race war between Michael B. Jordan and Leonardo DiCaprio. I'm sure that Leo would just love to donate this one to the community.
Oh, well, you know what? Maybe not. But for him, it depends on how seriously he took the propagandistic element of his movie, right? Which is more than Sinners. that his movie was the one that got labeled propaganda way more than Sinners did. Plenty of people said that there was plenty of race politic in Sinners, but at the very least it was well hit. It was well kind of layered within the story, whereas people said that One Battle After Another was plain and simple propaganda from start to finish, you know, with very little in the way of finesse.
Well, from what I could tell about the critiques of both, it seemed like Sinners was race propaganda and One Battle After Another was class propaganda. It was class war.
So it's a matter of which one is in that year.
Are you going to vote for the class war movie or the race war movie?
Depends on the year. What's hot this year? Is it class war or is it race war? If it was 2018, it would have been race war. If it's 2026, it's the eat the rich year. It's the it's the years of Luigi Mangione. So we have to vote for the class war movie this year.
And
when all you had to do was vote for Jason Statham.
I think most telling about the mental illness of a lot of these Oscar voters is this conversation around whether Jessie Buckley is up for an Oscar, I believe, for Best Actress.
Yeah.
Because she stars in this new movie from Maggie Gyllenhaal that we discussed on Wednesday called The Bride, but that's not the contender in the Oscars this year. She's up for Hamnet. And people who didn't like The Bride are using that as a justification to snub her for her performance in Hamnet.
Wait, but why? From everything that I was being told, that The Bride is ham-fisted feminist propaganda.
Well, it's being critically panned from what I've seen. And that shouldn't factor into how you evaluate her performance in a totally different movie.
No, it should not.
But it does. And that's something that people are anonymously admitting to. The Telegraph published this yesterday. Hollywood insiders now fear Jessie Buckley's critically panned new film, The Bride, and a resurfaced confession about her husband's cats could derail her Oscar campaign.
Wait, what is it about the cats? I'm confused.
Yeah, so I was confused too at first, and this is because of a recent confession that she made on the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast, where she was talking about dating her husband. She basically put an ultimatum on him, where, because she doesn't like cats, she said, you can either keep me or you can keep the cats, babe. And he got rid of the cats.
No, man. Should have just...
But people are using this as a justification for, like, why she shouldn't win an Oscar. And I'm like, grow the fuck up.
Yeah.
Like, come on. I'm a cat person. But, like, get over yourselves. How does this factor into grown-ass adults' decision-making when they're voting about an Oscar for a totally different movie?
It's a good argument as to why, like, people, like, focusing heavily on policy doesn't work in politics. It matters, but only to the most autistic of political pundits and people that follow the business. Otherwise, most of everything like this, whether it's politics or voting at the Oscars, it's all vibes.
Popularity, vibes, haircuts.
Yep.
Whoever has the most winning smile, whoever has the right political opinions. But the podcast clip resurfaced suspiciously this week, prompting people to call out Jessie's abhorrent ultimatum. One said, getting rid of your pets for someone is crazy. Asking someone to do that is even crazier. You're allowed to dislike cats, although having that strong of a reaction to them is weird. Asking your husband to get rid of his cats is just abhorrent behavior. That is not something you should say out loud to the public. You're marrying him. It's you and him versus the problem. You didn't win. You could not waterboard this information out of me.
What I've learned is that pets are higher on the oppression scale than feminism.
I guess so.
Okay.
Yeah, it's crazy. Now, the Best Director category, of course, has Ryan Coogler and Paul Thomas Anderson as the front runners. And it's just funny how right when the voting closes, everyone starts acting like the bigger person. Like they don't even care about, I don't even care about winning an Oscar. Like once I'm done campaigning for months and months on end, going on all the talk shows and podcasts, now I'm above it all, right?
But the thing is a lot of times that's required by the studio because they pay money to run these campaigns.
Right, exactly.
So even if he didn't care, he's still required to do so.
Comply.
Yeah.
Ryan Coogler said he isn't worried about winning an Oscar. The opportunity to make movies is his award. He said, with all respect to the Academy, my award is the opportunity to have this job, the opportunity to write a script, get a crew together, contribute to people's health care and their families. The fact that I have this job and continue to have it is the greatest gift.
Okay, other than the thing about healthcare, which was really cringe and pandery, the rest of it, I'm 110% on board. Like, the rest of it...
Do you think this echoes what Margot Robbie was saying about, like, fan service?
What do you mean? What did she say?
Margot Robbie was saying, like, she doesn't care if critics like her movie. She only cares if the audience likes
I don't think you were on when we covered that, but I went through all her movies, and they all have low audience ratings. So if that's how she actually believes, she's really bad at it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But in general, like, other than the cringe statement about people's healthcare, I take that as exactly the type of thing I want to see from a director, even if they don't necessarily mean it, because it proves that they understand what it means to at least try to be relatable to the average person. Like, understanding that the job you have is unique, and that, you know, you don't have a job that forces you to lay brick or work with your hands. You were very, very lucky. If you want to speak to the average person, at least a little bit more than the normal celebrity, you have to at least show that your job is a privilege and not something that's onerous.
Yeah. I still just don't buy it when anyone says they don't care about winning an Oscar, or if someone already has won the Oscar and then later on they go and say, "Oh, it doesn't mean anything to me. I don't care. Like, I'm just in it for the art. I'm just in it for the fans. Whatever."
That depends on the person.
You care about the trophy. Shut up.
That depends on the person. For somebody like Coogler and the movies he makes, you could make the argument that he makes a lot of stuff that's, you know, trying to find its way to the Academy outside of, like, maybe like Wakanda, you know, the Black Panther movies and Wakanda Forever and the Creed movies. Though I would say that the Creed movies stand on their own as well. In general, like, if I was to hear Luc Besson say, if you don't know who he is, he's a director. If Luc Besson's like, you know what, I don't really care about winning awards. He knows that because he's never going to, because the movies he makes are not supposed to win awards. Except for now they're making, like, box office achievement awards or, you know, all of this type of stuff. If a dude who makes schlock says it, I believe it. If it's a dude who makes movies that kind of seem like they're Oscar bait, or at least designed to be looked at in that light, it's a little bit less believable. But I appreciate him at least trying to pay lip service to seeming like a normal person.
It's a nice sentiment, I guess.
Even if you're right that most of the time it falls flat on its face.
Anyways, I'm just profoundly uninterested in if the two choices for Best Picture are class war propaganda and race war propaganda. I'm checked out.
I'm with you. All right. Let's move on. Let's talk about why the women are so down bad these days.
Yeah, so after Wuthering Heights generated so much discourse online and got women so feral, Hollywood, of course, has to find its next target. And they're just like, okay, we're going to ruin everything. Even stuff that we've already adapted. We're going to just, like, do it again and make it bad this time. So despite the fact that we already have two perfectly acceptable adaptations of Pride and Prejudice, the Jane Austen story, that is the BBC series from the 90s, and the Keira Knightley adaptation from the 2000s.
What about Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies? I never saw that one.
I never saw that either.
Yeah.
But Netflix is now going to make their own version. They're releasing their own Pride and Prejudice series, and there are already many problems with it. They released the teaser for this, and it's coming out in the autumn. And, you know, here's the first problem. Mr. Darcy is blonde. Okay. Just no. Just already, I'm saying no. And then worse is that Emma Corrin is the one they chose to play Elizabeth Bennet, despite the fact that she publicly identifies as non-binary and uses they, them pronouns. I just don't think that you should be able to do that and then take the roles like Elizabeth Bennet or Princess Diana.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't think that that's really fair. And she's going to be super annoying on the press tour, of course. Netflix
deconstructing womanhood for the sake of the Pride and Prejudice, press tour.
Yeah, it's just not going to be any fun. Netflix put out their press release saying it's a truth universally acknowledged that each generation deserves its own adaptation of Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice. Is that universally acknowledged? Like, do we need another one? I don't think it's self-explanatory that we just need another one because a certain number of arbitrary years have passed.
I will say that I think that some people fail to understand, and I've gotten into this discussion with people about why you end up getting reboots and remakes, which is that it is too desirous for the studios. They need to find something that can speak to a generation for the sake of profit. Now, the reason I bring this up is because everybody these days who grew up is my age, right? I'm about to be 40, talks about how everything's a reboot and a remake. Yet when I posted a clip from, Gone in 60 Seconds, everyone's like, I love this movie. I grew up with this movie. Well, guess what? It's a remake of a movie from like 40 years prior. And somebody pointed that out in there and they're like, does anybody not know that this is a remake? Does everybody not know that this is a remake? Here's the thing. When it came out for me, I did not know that in 2000 or whatever, when I was a teenager. I did end up learning that years later, but it doesn't make me love the movie any less. The only difference is that back then when they were doing remakes, they seemed to actually make them halfway decent or okay. It's nothing like, at least from what I understand, nothing like the original movie. But if it's Jane Austen and the other one was, you said what, it was in the 90s, in the early 2000s? Yeah. Is it necessary? No. Does it completely make sense that the studios want to try? Yeah, it does, even if it doesn't work out for them.
It's sort of like Nepo babies in Hollywood. Like, you've got to earn our respect.
Yeah.
And if a Nepo baby can become so successful that they're more famous than their parents or whoever gave them the leg up in the industry, good. You've earned our respect. But until then, I'm not really going to be interested. And I stand by that. Colin Firth is the best one to play Mr. Darcy. And I do think that Keira Knightley did the best job as Elizabeth Bennet. And I don't want to see any further attempts at this story, especially when, the track record shows they're going to just turn it into some sort of like degenerate book talk fantasy for, middle-aged women.
And that's what's going to happen?
It's just gross. I don't know. It might not be that way. I couldn't tell you, but after Wuthering Heights, I just don't know what to believe. And, here's a look into the kind of audience they're trying to reach with this. There is now a ChatGPT version of Mr. Darcy that you can talk to and, I don't know, get love advice from. They say he's tall, brooding, bad at first impressions, and now apparently great with Wi-Fi more than 200 years after first insulting Elizabeth Bennet at Meryton Ball. Mr. Fitzwilliam Darcy is back as a chatbot. The swoon-worthy leading man of Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice has entered the digital age as AI Mr. Darcy, a Regency-era romantic reincarnated by tech company Up Karma, to dispense love advice to lovelorn modern women navigating dating apps, ghosting, and situationships in 2026. Because if anyone understands emotional repression and slow burn tension, it's the man who once fumbled a proposal so badly it required a full character arc to recover. And women are loving the unruly internet's most mannerly gent. From Hinge fatigue to who texts first paralysis, Austen devotees across New York and beyond are lining up to ask the fictional Mr. Darcy what he makes of soft launches, breadcrumbing, and whether chivalry is dead or just buried under push notifications. So we're gonna give it a go. Let's try having a little exchange with AI Mr. Darcy.
What do you want to ask?
Well, there are some prompts here. We could just go with one of the... What do we have?
We have, as options on here, we have glance at him with disdain.
Okay.
We have receptive to a dance, eager to play a game of conundrums, and arrived in rain with boots caked in mud.
What speaks to you the most?
eager to play a game of conundrums because I have no idea what that means.
All right. We'll go with that. Let's see what he says.
Says...
Whoa, this is a lot. This is a lot.
It says, leaning one elbow upon the mantle, I regard you with a spark of mischief in my eye. Ah, a most excellent diversion for the evening. Conundrums, you say? You shall find me a willing opponent. The rules are quite simple. One opposes a riddle, or what we call a conundrum, and the other must supply the answer with all the wit and speed he can muster. Should you succeed, the honor of the next conundrum is yours. Should you fail, a slight bow, you must endure my triumph with good grace. I don't know what the hell that means.
I don't either. What is going on? Who is this for?
I have no idea.
I mean, I guess they tell you, actually.
It says, Conundrum the First. What has a face and 2 hands, yet no arms and legs? And then under that, in parentheses, it says, I fold my hands behind my back and wait with composed curiosity. Well then, what say you?
They ask, what exactly would a 19th century gentleman have to say about 21st century love? New Yorker Madeline Blaine, 29, who said that Mr. Darcy represents that charming, unavailable, yet full of potential man that women fall for, clinging to the hope that they will someday change or fully choose them. She wanted to ask the romantic icon about his take on modern dating, especially dating apps. And she asked this chatbot, do you use dating apps? And if so, what is your opening message? Mm-hmm. And she wanted to know if he would approach people in real life and whether the abundance of options makes it harder to determine the one. The bot responded in Regency flourish, admitting that dating apps sounded strange to him, like a physician's instrument for measuring affection. He insisted that character cannot simply be swiped aside. It must be endured, and the commitment becomes timid when choice is infinite. He said, I shouldn't even be saying he, it's it. It said, to determine whether someone is worthy of one's regard demands patience, attention, and a willingness to observe character over time. Quick judgments are rarely trustworthy, and an abundance of choice may incline one to perpetual indecision rather than true discernment. The heart, I have found, is never persuaded by convenience. It requires both constancy and clarity.
Oh, okay then.
It's not the worst dating advice I've ever heard in the world.
Okay.
It's also like, do we need chatbot Mr. Darcy to tell us what we already knew about dating apps, which is that it overwhelms you with a sense that, you know, you have all these options and then you never make a choice?
I mean,
like, we already knew all of that. We didn't need AI Darcy to reveal that to us.
Yeah, but the point is it said it in a specific type of voice. That's what matters.
Right. Yeah. To answer the original question about like whether women are okay, no, they're not okay.
They're not okay.
They're talking to AI Mr. Darcy and flicking their bean to Wuthering Heights, and
the ladies need some help.
Something is going severely wrong. Yeah.
The ladies need some help. We need to help them.
What do we do?
Get them off.
There's nothing that can be done for these people. I think once you become that delusional, like, there's no bringing you back to reality.
I don't think so.
If you're talking to an AI boyfriend, whether it's Mr. Darcy or someone else, you're done.
Well, I mean,
you're done.
like
there's no coming back.
The first way you could get them perhaps to some humility would be to shame them for using the chatbot Mr. Darcy.
You know what would be so much worse if a guy went to AI Mr. Darcy for dating advice, he would get rejected by literally all of these same women that are swooning over Mr. Darcy. The version of him that's in the book, at least.
Wait, what's the guy version of this, if not with Mr. Darcy?
What do you mean?
Like, what is the guy character that they would go to for advice? Like
Mr. Darcy.
No, I'm saying, but there's got to be there's got to be a female version that a guy would go to. If the women go to Mr. Darcy, then the guys have to go to, I don't know.
Well, the guys are getting advice from Mr. Darcy to be chivalrous, and then when they actually put that into practice with modern women, it turns out they actually don't like that. Because their brains are broken.
Yeah, you hold the door for her and she gets the ick.
Yeah, we've got a lot of problems on our hands, and I don't have all the solutions. I just know that AI Mr. Darcy isn't one of them.
No, I think they got to find some. Literally, have a friend in the real world you can ask questions to. Anyone but Mr. Darcy.
Just talk to a person, damn it, please.
That's what we need.
Anyway, let's read some super chats.
All right, let's do so.
Did we miss any 20s? Because I wasn't even checking.
There was a 20 that from Pop Culture Junkie, I think, but I think he retracted the message, so I don't think we can read that one. If it showed, if you see one from Pop Culture Junkie on there that was for 20, he retracted it, so maybe don't.
I still have it here in front of me, but I also don't want to read it if he didn't want it to be read.
Yeah,
so
I might want to do that.
maybe I'll just ignore it, or like, if you want us to read it, send it again, I guess. Katie said, Mary was right about the female priest at my church. The mood changed. I'm searching for a new church. Okay, well, I hope that you find a church that suits you better. Shane H. Wilder said, always remember women cannot be priests. This is nothing against women. It's just the way of the world. Men and women have different complementary roles.
All right,
that is true. Greg Duvier said, my wife and I started watching White Collar last night. We are 2 episodes in and mad at myself I didn't watch it sooner.
It gets better the longer you watch it, my friend. You're gonna love it. You're gonna love the whole series. There is no weak season. There are seasons I watch more than others, but there are no weak seasons.
Do you think I would like White Collar?
I mean,
every time I ask you if I would like something, you say the same thing. You're like, no.
I don't know. Like you said, you like, it wasn't your type of show, but you didn't mind Covert Affairs, right?
Well, yeah, but I just watched that, when I was younger, like back when it was actually on the air, because my mom watched it.
I don't know. The first episode is really, really good, but it depends on what you like the type of stuff that you like watching. It's not really in your genre, I would say, is the type of stuff. It's not strictly a procedural in its inherent sense, because there is an overarching story that continues on throughout each season, but it's probably not up your alley.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe. Oh, by the way, I'm through episode 5, guys, of Scream Queens. I should be done through with 7 or 8 this weekend.
Ooh.
I'm working my way through it.
Can we get an update on what you think so far?
I'm cheering for the bad guy. I'm cheering for the bad guy
Chanel
and Chanel. I want them to be the same person. I want Chanel.
She's sort of an anti-hero.
Yeah,
not really.
Like Emma Roberts is like my favorite person in the world when she's on screen, and Lea Michele is great too.
She's great.
Yeah.
Shane H. Wilder said, that's the reason I did the PCC Pokemon meme. I'm tired of the White House memes that seem to have no effort, so I figured I could do it better. Yeah.
That's
the
what
White
it feels
House
like.
memes are just... It just makes you think, like, we could be spending our time on so much more.
So my point that I was trying to make the other day was everyone's like, we voted for Trump because he is a bull in a china shop and he is a shock to the system. Well, if we're going to go start war in Iran, that's not a bull in a china shop or a shock to the system. It's literally the most predictable thing that a president could do ever. And I don't really care about the distinction between ground war or, drone strikes.
No, it's technically an operation. It's not a war.
And honestly, that argument would carry water for me if gas didn't go up 80 cents. And then by our house it did. And the other thing is not only did the gas go up, then I saw like the Quartering Post today is like, oh, now liberals care about gas prices. Well, the converse of that is now conservatives don't care about gas prices because everybody's okay with everybody else suffering as long as it's in service of something that fits your agenda. And I just don't know who in their right mind's agenda is regime change in Iran. I understand the argument about preventing China from getting oil. I understand the concept of proxy battles in that region because of China and Russia. I get it. But it just feels like there's a whole lot of other stuff that we could have done before liberating Iran.
Yeah, I've been like jokingly asking people what they think of the war lately because I just think it's funny. to like totally kill the vibe, but I don't mean it. I don't actually want to talk about the war.
Well,
like nothing could interest me less.
And for the most part, me and Phil, like I had actually a really good discussion with Phil the other day. I said, look, it would be very hard because at the same time, I see people who talk shit about the U.S. and I'm just like, you know what, fuck you. Like it's a complicated thing. Supporting the U.S. and supporting the military aren't the same thing as supporting what your government is doing inherently. And the point I was making is like, look, I'm not the one being asked to fight. I'm 40 years old and deaf in one ear. So it's hard for me to be like, yeah, we should go put these people in danger for, I guess, Republican interests. For, I get it, right? It's one of the largest state-sponsored places for terrorism. I get that. But that's not the same thing as me telling you to go do that when I'm not being asked to go fight in that battle. So I always find it weird. Like when vets get into these discussions, 100%, sure, they can speak on it because of their past service.
Well, I don't even accept that premise, honestly, because it's like, oh, look, a veteran who agrees with me on both sides. Like they'll just, trot out whichever veteran says the thing they agree with and say you can't disagree with it because it's a veteran saying it, but you could just as easily find countless examples of veterans saying the opposite thing. And I just don't really think they have any more of a right or more credibility than anyone else.
There was a couple of people that have been that we've gotten to meet here that were in special forces or in high levels of the military, and a lot of them were talking about was like they re-enlisted when Trump won the first time because they wanted to go back and be allowed to go overseas and go to war. Like I think it was Forrest or whoever was talking about that. Like a lot of them who had gotten out got back in because their hands were going to be less tied. But the point is, that's not my discussion to have, and nobody's coming to me for a discussion on fucking foreign policy.
Well, case in point, I watched earlier this week a debate about the Iran war that Michael Knowles was hosting, and Dan Crenshaw was on stage as one of the featured speakers on the panel. And, obviously he's a veteran. A veteran came up in the Q&A line and like their opinions about this war could not be more different.
Yeah.
And, either of them could like pull the veteran card and say like, I'm right or I'm more credible than like, because I'm a veteran. But like at the end of the day, that doesn't like really factor in. They're polar opposites in their perspective.
Teddy in the chat says, Brett, stop setting up fake arguments. Conservatives do care about gas prices. I wasn't setting up a fake argument. I was giving the converse to a point about how liberals now supposedly do care about gas prices and saying that at the very least, if I'm not saying that all conservatives don't care, but there are some that are willing to make that sacrifice if it means doing what we're doing in Iran. I'm not saying all.
Now? Are things getting heated in the chat?
No. Most of the people are, this is why nobody, and let's face it, nobody's coming to me for takes on foreign policy. I don't know this stuff, but I do appreciate hearing people have the discussion. But for the most part, I don't share those opinions online because I have no way to speak with any level of authority, which is fine.
Can we put up a poll?
Sorry, there's already a poll up there about Hanes versus Fruit of the Loom, which is, of course, people have the wrong answer. They're choosing Hanes. Losers.
Wait, isn't there a third option? What's the third option?
I don't know.
There's Hanes, Fruit of the Loom, but there's a third one, right?
So I did. Somebody did suggest Reebok, which I said is a good third option, way better than Hanes, but that's just me.
I could have sworn there was a third one, but I can't remember right now.
We do have some Rumble rants. Thank you for the reminder, Corey. Let's get through these here. This one from West says, I agree with Mary. Selena kissing feet is gross and shameful. Popes in the Middle Ages would have even kings in some cases kiss their feet. Saying would have kings even in some cases kiss their feet. I'm sure Mary feels the same about it no matter who's doing it. I think they're trying to throw shade at you.
Why?
Because they're saying that that popes would have kings kiss their feet. Maybe I'm misinterpreting this.
Well, I don't know anything about that, but I think any pope is more deserving of reverence than Benny Blanco.
Literally anyone.
Actually, not even a pope. Like anybody else on the planet who has ever been alive might be more deserving of reverence like that than Benny Blanco. And at the very least, like, you know, most people's feet don't look like his.
Okay, Shane H. Wilder over on Rumble says, YouTube doesn't like this one. Mary just described Nashville men as a 65-year-old retiree in a picking up his Metamucil, or a metrosexual gym bro who is probably in the closet.
I wouldn't say metrosexual because it's not that they are overly feminine or overly masculine or whatever. It's just that they're such copy and paste versions of each other. It's actually like kind of unsettling. It doesn't matter what day I walk outside, it's the same guy walking out there with his dog.
They're saying the Pope the Pope is the one kissing the feet. Is that true?
I don't know.
Okay.
I thought that the Rumble rant that you just read said the opposite.
That's what I thought, but I could have misinterpreted it. You know, Corey, I can't read your last one. Sorry.
Oh. Is it that bad?
I'm just not risking it.
Is it against TOS?
I don't know, but I'm not gonna do it.
Damn it, Corey. All right. Are there any Rumble rants left?
That's all the Rumble rants.
Cut up there. Okay. Skateman 2010 said, hiding in the Porta-John to write this super chat. Hi, Brett and Mari. Well back to work.
Well, thank you. We're glad that you're listening at work. I love it when people listen to the show at work.
Oh, I wasn't sure why you were hiding in a Porta-John.
Gotta like, well, you must have a good, like a real job, like that has standards, as opposed to like the ones that now let people like me who love to have headphones at work wear headphones on the job, which I still say one day, you know, when it all falls apart and I'm not doing the show anymore, I'm going to be able to work a job and wear a headphone in one ear again, and without shame, like I used to get.
In your good ear or your bad
no,
ear?
No, it always goes in the bad ear. And then, like, you just listen to it at, like, top volume so you can just barely hear it. Makes listening to podcasts impossible, but it does make music okay because you can hear, like, the general idea of the song.
You're destroying the eardrum that's
already gone. Correct.
Gone. Greg Duvier said, wait, a celebrity being chased by the police? Why wasn't my television broadcast interrupted so we could watch the broadcast live like O.J. Simpson?
Maybe it just wasn't interesting enough. Maybe she wasn't.
Yeah.
Plus, they could have been like, look, it's a woman driving erratically. It could be anyone. It doesn't necessarily mean it's Britney Spears.
Wasn't quite as dramatic as the O.J. Simpson situation. But, yeah. These days, it's just like with every headline about Britney, you know, they all just kind of blend together. It's like too depressing at a certain point. Adam said getting pulled over probably saved her life. I can't imagine what could have happened if she made it to Mexico. Well, she wasn't trying to go to Mexico as far as I know.
She was trying to escape over the border.
Yeah, she wasn't that close. High Voltage 75 said, Brett, did you see the body cam footage of Vince McMahon's high-speed car crash from last summer? He's truly off his rocker.
I didn't watch it. I did see like the stills. His face has been, he looks like he got stung by 1,000 bees.
What? I didn't know anything about this. Is he like...
Yeah, he got into an accident with this lady and he was freaking out. It's a whole thing.
Yikes.
Vince is a mess these days.
Robert Delara said, I don't know what Kevin Federline is doing now, but he is probably thanking God he is not involved with Britney's chaotic life.
Actually, he just, a credit card company just filed a lawsuit for like 12 grand from him. So
oh, no.
He's not that happy.
So he's not financially stable?
Apparently not, if he's not paying the $12,000 credit card bill.
He's still getting child support payments from Britney, though.
No, I don't think so, because they're both over 18 now. There was like, they were trying to do the thing where like they still get it because of college or whatever, but I don't know if that ever happened.
No, that stipulation did go through. Like until they graduate college, they get child support.
Well, maybe they get the money this time and not him because they're adults.
Yeah, maybe that's why it's going south for him. But he's still involved. Like, okay, if you have kids with somebody, You are always gonna be involved with that person. There's no getting out of that.
I remember.
Divorced or not.
So when my mom was sick, most of my childhood, like for my teenage years and up, she lived in a nursing home, and I got like Social Security from the government because she couldn't take care of me. Even though my dad was still around. So like the kids should be getting some money, and maybe they can pay Kevin Federline's credit card bill.
Hopefully. Corey Anderson said, how is the homie Kyler doing? I like his shirts. He's doing well. I also like his shirts.
There's a specific type of shirt?
So he always wears, well, not always, but 99% of the time, he's wearing an animal shirt. And by an animal shirt, I just mean like the face of the animal is the entirety of the shirt.
So they're mountain tees. The brand
is that what they're called?
It's probably what they are.
I don't know. He claims to have like hundreds of them.
Yeah, I used to have a collection of mountain tees. Yeah.
Where'd they go?
Sold
you don't have them anymore?
Sold them long time ago. They used to carry like especially if you could find rare ones at thrift stores, they had great value, especially if you still have the tags.
I'm really excited for you guys to see the episode that we finished yesterday. It's a internet show if anyone is interested, but I can't even tell you what we were doing. It was insane though. Truly, it was something where I ended up terrified for the future generation, Gen Alpha.
Shirts like this but with one animal?
Yeah, sort of. It's like if the whole shirt were just like a face of a bear or something like that.
Yeah, mountain tees.
Yeah.
Yep.
Definitely.
That was a product of an age when thrifting was actually fun, to go and find mountain tees. Also, I liked them because they were kind of like, at least back before they gained like a ton of traction, they had the same issue as 50 like New Era hats, which is like you could get two shirts both in a large and they would fit completely different, which I kind of enjoyed the hunt for the ones that fit bigger than the others. Shocking, I know. And and I had even more than the ones that I ended up selling because I did I cut the necks out of all of them because they were like all these weirdos here who want to frickin' be choked by their t-shirts. Cut the necks out of them.
Thrifting stopped being fun.
It's not fun anymore.
A while ago. Corey Anderson said women never hold themselves accountable. I mean, my hot take, as everyone here knows, is that women just actually are less accountable. And with less responsibility comes less
Huh?
Or that was you on the PTZ?
Yeah, I never get to use that angle, so why not?
Oh, wow. I was surprised. Shane H. Wilder said, when I hear someone say they're just messy, I can only think they get some sense of schadenfreude from it, like it's a reality show or soap drama.
It's just a reference people use to be like annoying. Like they're like a bad person. I'm not a bad person. I'm just messy.
She's my problematic fave. Yeah, there is something about it that really trivializes the reality that, like, you know, she's a real person at the end of the day and
women
seems to be suffering.
Women that drive Nissan Altimas have a large crossover with people that say they're messy. It's a perfect circle.
Yeah. Greg Duvier said justice for Mocha and Mocha Mug have arrived.
Let's go.
Great to hear. Represent. Robert Delera said Hollywood not only corrupts child celebrities, but also their parents. This is a fact.
I mean, it's also true that a lot of people, perhaps, that are just bad people choose to bring their kids to Hollywood.
Yeah, it's a both and thing. Greg Duvier said, I can't dress how I used to. I can't find Jenko's jeans.
Well, you got to go and try and find some.
They're around. You can find them.
Yeah, but they tried to make like a comeback as like a high-end brand because they were expensive when they were.
It worked, didn't it?
I mean, I don't know if anybody actually wears them.
The lighting is crazy right now.
Yes, it is.
This happens. Boston said $2 for the correct, beautiful Karen conservative Daria. Thank you. Daylight savings is coming up this Sunday, and
let's go.
I'm excited for longer days.
Robert
Delera said
there's two. Did you get the 20 I'm so sorry. Did you get the 20 from Tyrone that says men don't go to women for advice?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't know that was a 20. Sorry.
Yeah, no, there's actually another one here because Pop Culture Junkie says he resent it. Says, retracted by my fumble fingers.
Oh.
If you would have told me 5 years ago that in 2035 there would be performances of Tchaikovsky's Nutcracker performed by robots, I would reply, "Are you high?" Now I'm not so sure.
Will there be though? I don't know. Not so sure about that. That's a big claim.
It's a big claim.
Robot ballerinas. They can't even walk properly yet, you know? Not convinced that we can make it that far in less than a decade, but we'll see. Robert Delera said, if you see Timothée Chalamet and Kylie Jenner at Madame Butterfly, that means he bent the knee to the opera mob. I mean, there are worse mobs to bend the knee to. Opera is objectively impressive.
He should go and be belligerent and interrupt.
Pull a, I don't know, whatever Lauren Boebert did. At
Beetlejuice.
Yeah. This is why we can't have nice things. Shane H. Wilder said, I've been to a few ballets. I have a female friend from grade school who became a professional ballerina, and they are less pretentious than Hollywood. I mean, I do
it's all
think
actual
that
hard
they have
work.
More of a right to, like, you know, believe themselves to be important because they work so hard. And it's objectively impressive what they do. The opera that I attended, they had no microphones and you could hear them loud and clear, just a cappella. And it was through the whole auditorium. It's impressive as hell. Pop Culture Junkie, oh, that was the retracted one. Shane H. Wilder said, I want to note that having been to ballet and opera, they really are not that expensive. I could get 2 tickets for like 100 to 150. People definitely, I mean, not saying that that's not expensive, especially in the way, no, I'm not saying that's not expensive. Like, but if you ask the average person what they think those tickets cost, they would probably say 1,000, right?
Yeah, you're
like
probably
they
right.
would way overestimate what it costs.
You could be right about that, for sure.
I think, you know, it's more accessible than people assume, for sure. Koski said, I had a dream where Mary was an employee at a video store. They had collectible toys too. Okay. That's weird.
Sounds like the video store isn't doing their job, and they're not, you know, they've kind of debased themselves to selling, you know, Funko Pops because they can't make it with their traditional medium. Though I did read an article recently that's saying that like video stores are seeing a bump from Gen Z right now.
What video stores? Where are video stores even?
So Appalachia, they still exist because there are places with spotty internet where they literally like streaming is just not as accessible.
Yeah, but I mean, I imagine there aren't many left in the rest of the country. I do remember there being a few red boxes in West Virginia, but they might have shut down by now. I don't know. Shane H. Wilder said, I got nominated for an Emmy for Texas Snowmageddon. I was like, it would be cool to win, then saw that the cost just to enter was $500 and I noped out. Yeah, that's asking a lot of you. Yep. I don't know, maybe not worth it, but it's also a resume builder.
Big thanks to Drummer, gave us 10 gifted PCC memberships. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
I'm so glad that it automatically does like it gives them the I don't have to go and gift the membership and feel the anxiety of who you choose to give it to. It just gives it to them. I don't know how it works, but thank you.
I don't either. Who takes them is the thing.
Well, it lists them right here. It lists the people down here who got the membership. So
I think it's just like first come, first serve, maybe? I don't know. Boston said, yo, I got a better job and I want to support the show. You rock, Mary. Once again, correct. Karen, conservative Daria, Wednesday Adams, 40K, Sister of Battle. I hope I read all of that the way it was intended.
Okay.
But thank you. Shane H. Wilder said Pride and Prejudice has been adapted 15 times, with the first film being from 1940 with Greet Garson and Laurence Olivier. Do we need another adaptation?
Apparently.
Objectively, no. We do not need another adaptation. We might want one if they gave it any sort of effort or care for the source material, but they don't. By the way, that message saying men don't go to women for advice, this is why commas are really important. Because it's either saying men don't go to women for advice, or it's telling men not to go to women for advice.
I mean, I think both are true.
Which.
I don't know many men that go to women for advice, but there was no comma there.
I don't know. Adam said, for new content, go around picking up girls with Mr. Darcy. Yeah, try to get some hinge openers from Mr. Darcy and see how that works out for you.
Pat the Plumber, another 5 gifted memberships. Thank you so much.
We appreciate it.
And for all the new members, go check out the episode that I did with Verbal Riot on there. It's a lot of fun.
How many are there now? Are we getting close to 100?
We must be getting...
The lighting is crazy right now.
Yep.
This looks insane. I look like I'm about to get abducted by aliens.
Well, daylight savings is coming, so it's going to be light out later.
The glare from this window nearby is what's doing me in.
Yep.
Shane H. Wilder said, I gassed up last week for $1.99. I drove by today and it jumped to $3.19 since this popped off. Nah, dog, F that ish.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I was like, okay, like, so this is why we're back doing more stuff in the, you know, understanding that we've been doing stuff in the Middle East the whole time, and that this is not the same thing as that.
I thought we had plenty of oil because of Venezuela.
It's not necessarily just about that. It has to do with instability in the region affects the prices.
Yeah. Corey Anderson said, don't forget rants today. I dropped a banger.
Yes, you did. And
didn't get it. Moon at Noon said, Victoria's Secret is preferred, just not for me.
Okay.
Wait, what?
I don't know what that's in reference to.
Context. Okay. Since I mentioned Harvey Weinstein, that reminded you of Les Wexner? I don't know. Shane H. Wilder said, I watched part of the debate with Dan. I'm surprised he wanted to show his face the day after losing. Well, I'm pretty sure that's why he showed up. Because he lost his primary and he was like, I got nothing better to do. I'm going to go debate some libs. Corey Anderson said, Super Chat was putting Muslims in their place, Mary. Okay.
In more... final terms. So no.
Oh, okay.
But yeah.
Yeah, we're not gonna read stuff like that on the channel. Shane H. Wilder said, damn it, Mary. I'm supposed to say damn it, Corey. Also, I think the one person misconstrued kissing feet with the washing of feet. Oh, okay. That makes more sense.
I have ended the poll, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm sorry to say that 62% of you are in fact wrong, and they are saying that Hanes is the preferred undergarment, which is of course not accurate, but you're allowed to be wrong.
Okay, the best t-shirt I have found so far is the one I'm wearing right now, and it's from Free People. 100% cotton, large neck hole, although I'm a woman, so I can get away with that. And they're super comfy. Pete Donovan said, Brett, here's a song recommendation for you. Song for Bob Dylan by David Bowie. I promise it doesn't sound like Dylan, but it's a funny song to listen to.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I can't in good conscience do that.
Just because it has Bob Dylan's name in the title, you won't listen to it?
Yeah. It's like catching a virus. I don't want to catch something I don't want.
Okay. Pop Culture Junkie said I resent $20 super chat that I accidentally canceled.
Mike in the chat says, my point is proven, Bert. No, I'm sorry. You're still wrong about the undergarments. Though I will say that my point is more about their undershirts. The Fruit of the Loom, the plain white cotton Fruit of the Loom undershirt is far superior in fit to the Hanes one. The only way it could really be worse is if it was Gildan, which is literally a shirt that was made
That
designed
was
by
the one. That was the one I forgot about.
Gildan is the one where it's like somebody
Yeah.
woke up one day and said like, what if we made a shirt that fit nobody? And Hanes is almost as bad.
I like American Apparel too.
Yeah, but you don't see it much anymore, right?
Yeah. Shane H. Wilder said, "A internet show." Wow, look, the lighting is back to somewhat normal. That was cooked. A internet show is not a psyop, even if Mary is Fed coded. I did die laughing at the line, "Don't put your pee-pee where to poo-poo go." Truer words. Yeah, guys, check out A Internet Show if you haven't already. We're trying to keep it very much low key, so don't go blabbing about it to anyone else. Shane H. Wilder said, "Mary got it. Yes, it costs money to go to the ballet or opera, but it is more accessible than many concerts or the movies with concessions." LOL. That is true as well. Like if you go to like the movie theater and actually get the works, might be comparable in terms of cost. And still, it's like the stereotype of like, I don't know, the type of person who goes to theatrical performances. You're imagining like Bruce Wayne, and it's really not that. It's much more accessible than people assume. Pop Culture Junkie said, "Had a GF who had ballet training who tried to teach me how to spin and not get stuck by spotting properly. Did not work. I almost threw up. Now I do have an appreciation for ballet." It's very impressive what they're capable of.
So is what the figure skaters do. It's incredible.
Brian Bledsoe said, "Green Book and One Battle After Another could be considered problematic to the Black community because they see it as some sort of white savior in both."
That was the criticism. That is the criticism that I saw of Green Book.
That, I guess, makes sense in some way if you were crazy.
Though most of the people I saw making those comments were white liberals complaining about it, but
yeah, they did make sure to mention in the Variety article, like, most of the Oscars voters are still white.
Yes, they said that, and male.
Okay. Like they were just making sure they got that complaint in.
What
Pop Culture Junkie.
We were talking the other day about like all of the CEOs of the fast food companies are all white guys.
Wait, what?
Like during Burger Wars, all the CEOs, they're all no, it was just funny. It's like this is where they've all been segregated off to fast food brands. Wendy's, A&W, McDonald's, Burger King, and they all have like weirdly different archetypes. I still think the Wendy's guy wins because he was wearing a quarter zip, as all CEOs should, and he was wearing a Wendy's branded quarter zip.
Someone said that the A&W CEO actually won, but it's something that you have to think about a little bit more deeply because most people don't know that A&W has burgers or like, you know, brick and mortar restaurants in general. So he really, as they called it, he brand awareness mogged all of them.
Wait, who doesn't know that they have, where do they think that A&W comes from? Like other than the drink?
The root beer. They think it's just the root beer.
Oh, okay. I mean, that's
depending on the region that you live in, especially. I rarely, if ever, see one.
There used to be a lot of A&Ws in Minnesota.
It's probably a Midwest thing. Yeah. Pop Culture Junkie said, "Mary, nice lighting, PCC noir." Yeah, it's getting to that point. Getting like this dramatic lighting from the side. Maybe it adds.
I did see another one. That's another one that said Dave Thomas, the original Wendy's CEO, wins because he actually looked like he ate the burgers.
What, was he fat?
He wasn't fat, but he was a bigger guy. He looked like he ate his burgers without worrying about it.
The Crumble CEO needs to throw his hat in the ring, and I expect him to stack 3 Crumble cookies on top of each other and eat them as if it's a burger, or else I don't believe a word he says.
There you go.
Clearly, the Crumble CEO doesn't eat crumble.
And he just immediately like injects himself with something to save him.
Yeah, he like eats charcoal afterwards.
Narcan.
Nah. I don't trust that man. Shane H. Wilder said, "What MFer says Hanes over Fruit of the Loom? Heathens."
Yeah, weirdos who want shirts that are too short and too boxy.
Burned Oil said, Mary, face it, that neck hole is way too big. Return it. Well, it came like this. That's how it's supposed to be. I like it that way. Penamite said, Hollywood is more pretentious than Broadway. Nobody on Broadway is holding court at Davos or writing editorials in the New York Times advising the president to step down for Kamala, except maybe Hamilton people.
Patty LuPone
I think
does
that they
this.
just recognize that they're in their own, you know, little isolated world, and they like it that way. And you know what? That's fine. Like, I think we're all okay with that.
A lot of them said stuff about the Kennedy Center when Trump took over.
True, they were throwing a little bit of a shit fit over the Kennedy Center. However, I do think it was a stupid fight for Trump to pick.
Yes.
I don't really, I don't know. There are more productive uses of his time and our time. Not that Jon Stewart said, I have an A&W in the town I live in Michigan. Have a good weekend. I think it must be more of a Midwest thing because I never saw a single A&W until moving to West Virginia, and there was only one of them. Yeah. And I was like, do people even go there? It never looked like anybody was there. I couldn't believe it was still in business.
I just decided to look up Patty LuPone on Breitbart.
What's the latest on Patty?
Disney star, Broadway icon Patty LuPone says Trump's Kennedy Center, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't finish it here. Watch. Maskless Broadway star Patty LuPone screams at maskless Broadway goer.
That was like 5 years ago.
That was 2022, 4 years ago. Patty LuPone refuses to perform for Trump. I hate that mother effer. Patty LuPone. No difference between the Christian right and the Taliban.
Hot
take. Basically the same thing. Yeah.
Well, she's like the Mark Ruffalo of Broadway.
Yes, she is.
There you go. Takes all kinds.
Yep.
Pop Culture Junkie said, I met Dave Thomas covering a Wendy's opening in 1978. What? Gave me a free double. Who have you not met? What do you mean?
I'm starting to wonder, my friend, if you're not doing some creative writing exercises. So, like, last night on IRL, there was, like, 3 people who said, basically, like, pursuant to tradition, I am sending this super chat in the hospital after the birth of my firstborn. And I'm just starting to think they're doing it to give funny names. Like,
yeah.
I love it. I hope they're all real, but, you know. Because I said, like, we'll know that it's fake when somebody's like, pursuant to tradition, I am sending this super chat at the hospital with the birth of my firstborn son, Adolf. That's when we know it's been fake.
No one said that yet, thankfully. Shane H. Wilder said Dave Thomas got his start at LFC and was the one who proposed that the Colonel appear in advertisements. LFC? Is that KFC?
Maybe.
That would make more sense. Or is it Louisiana Fried Chicken? I don't know. I think we're all caught up on the super chats, though.
We got one more here from Brian Bledsoe, where it was like he mentions this. He says, Brett, tell the A&W 2/3 pounder story again. And that was the third pound burger failed in the 1980s because people thought a fourth, that the quarter pounder was bigger than a third.
Math is hard.
Math is hard. That's okay.
The lighting is getting crazy again.
It is. All right, I think we are all
like saluting over here. High Voltage 75 said, "Careful, Mary, you might get a tan." Not through the window. Is that possible? I hope not. That would be a disaster for me.
A couple more here from Pop Culture Junkie says, "All true. I'm old." And one more here from Shane H. Wilder who says, "Mary saluting over here."
Yeah. I'm very patriotic today.
All right, guys. Before we go, would you all hit the like button on this video? Subscribe to the channel if you're new here and you have not subscribed here yet already. If you have not yet joined as a channel member, you should go ahead and do that. There are all sorts of emojis that you can now use, including all 3 of our cats. Mocha, Chloe, and Toast are all available in there for you. So is Mr. Fluffykins. So is Judgmental Phil. And then 2 each of me and Mary. So you should go become a channel member. We're looking to do more expanded content whenever we can. We appreciate it. Mary, where can they find you?
You guys can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived. And to help me get TikTok famous, that is also Mary Archived.
Perfect. If you guys want to follow me, I am on Instagram and on X at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. PCC is here live 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is, of course, noon Pacific. We are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. If you would like to listen rather than just watch the show, you can also rate and review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify, which is a great way to help the channel out. So thank you guys all so much for that. We are like really close to a third crisis party. I wonder if I should do the NPR outro.
Right now?
I wonder if maybe I do the NPR outro just for the social medias, and then we see if we get that before we go. So, we got one more super chat here from Songs of Pete Donovan. Says, yes, you can get a tan through the window, Mary.
Well, that's scary. I heard that was a myth.
Not a real
Now I'm not so sure.
Okay.
I need to get like one of those. I need to get a parasol. That's what I need.
That'd be a good idea.
I've been in search of one.
I mean, that fits your vibe, right? That's kind of your realm.
Yeah. Everyone is going to see me carrying a parasol and think that it's like a fashion statement, but I legitimately need the sun protection.
She's like, I just don't want cancer.
It's very practical.
Yep.
Well, it's more so to preserve my youthful appearance.
There you go. All right. NPR outro for the social medias. If you would like to follow us on social media, we are on Twix at popculture_show. We are on Facebook at Pop Culture Crisis. We are on Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. We have one more super chat here from Greg Duvier. Says, I like turtles, and the left lane is for crime. With all of that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we will be back with another episode of Pop Culture Crisis on Monday. We'll see y'all then. Bye, everybody.
Bye.